Mom insists on coming with us when we go meet Knox and Kobe. And when we pull into their driveway, she doesn't wait in the car. She follows us right up to the door to meet their mom. And I'm not even annoyed, because now that we're here, I'm realizing I'm not even sure what you'd say to 2-year-olds. Their house is big. It's not a mansion with a fountain and a flagpole or anything, but it has a porch that wraps all the way around the sides, and 2 different front doors we could knock on, and 3 spaces for cars in their garage. One part of the garage is piled with broken-down boxes, and there's a minivan parked in the other. A tall woman wearing stretchy workout clothes and her hair pulled into a bun on top of her head answers the door. "Hi! You must be—" "Gabe," I say. "And this is Oliver." Then I gesture to my mom, who is standing over my right shoulder. And that's my mom. "Oh, hi," she says to my mom. "I'm Paula." "Addie," my mom says, "but don't mind me." Paula opens the door wide to welcome us in. She shows us to the kitchen, where the twins are in these little chairs that attach right to the counter. One is trying to use a spoon, but his hand is around the wrong end, and he has yogurt smeared up to his elbow. The other is not even trying. He's going right into it with his fingers, and getting some to his mouth, while most slops into the pocket of a plastic purple bib. Gross, I'm thinking. "Guys, can you say hi to Gabe and Oliver?" "Hi," they say, then make slurping sounds. "This is Knox," she says, pointing to upside-down Spooner. "And Kobe." They both have light brown curly hair and green eyes and chubby cheeks. My first thought is, how do you tell them apart? They're even wearing the same clothes. I'm trying to memorize Knox yogurt elbow. But then Paula lifts him out of the little chair thing and carries him to the sink. He stands on a tall stool, and she rinses the yogurt off his face and hands all the way up to his elbow. And by the time she's rinsing off the other kid, I forget which is which again. "I'm just looking for 2 hours a couple of days a week. Enough to work out in the basement or prepare dinner without any obstacles," Paula tells us. "Basically, a break." She and Mom laugh a little. Then she plants a kiss on one of the kids' cheeks while the other wraps around her leg. "Maybe from 3:30 to 5:30 or so?" Oliver says. "We have clubs on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but we could do Tuesdays and Thursdays." "And maybe some weekends?" she asks. Oliver looks at me, and I look at Mom, and we all nod. Mom nudges me, which means, ask more questions. I can't think of any, but it's quiet and everyone's looking at me, so I blurt, "How do you tell them apart?" Everyone laughs, and Oliver says, "I was wondering the same thing." "I can just tell," Paula says. "But until you get to know them, here's a little trick." She puts the kid who's in her arms down and bends to the one that's around her leg. "Let me see your finger," she says. He raises up his left pointer finger, and she shows us a little brown freckle tucked in the crease behind his knuckle. "This is Kobe." I smile, and Kobe unwraps from his mom's leg and shows off his freckle. "Knox not have one," he says. Knox starts crying at this, but his mom bends down and picks up a stuffed bunny from the floor and says, "Here, can you see if Bunny's ear is okay?" Knox sucks up his tears and says, "Bunny, Bunny," and looks beneath the droopy ear of the stuffed animal. "He okay," he tells his mom. And just like that, he forgets he was even crying. Paula locks a baby gate across the bottom of the stairs and shows us around the first floor of their house. There's a separate dining room with tall standing cabinets holding fancy-looking dishes and wine glasses. "Don't let them in here," she says, closing the double doors. "I just unpacked all that, and I don't need it to come crashing down." She closes the big glass doors to their office, too, which has 2 flat-screen computer monitors, swivelly chairs, and a stack of moving boxes in the corner. "New to the area?" my mom asks. "Not new to Vermont," she says, "but new to town, yes." Mom says, "Welcome." And then Paula shows us through the mud room and where the bathroom is, and the living room with an L-shaped couch and a fireplace, and a room she calls a sunroom, and their playroom with a TV mounted on the wall, a basket overflowing with stuffed animals, shelves full of picture books and puzzles, and a chest of toys. No TV, she says, but they love books and Play-Doh and anything with wheels. And what else do you guys love? One jumps up and says, bunnies, and the other says, cheese. Got it, Oliver says, and gives them high fives. We're going to have fun, aren't we? Fun, they say, and spin in circles and fall down. When Paula shows us a drawer in the kitchen full of diapers and wet wipes, I try so hard not to laugh, but now I'm thinking about guano again, and I can tell Oliver is too, and that makes it even harder. You probably won't even need these, she tells us, holding up a diaper. But they're here in case. I say, okay, and bite my tongue, and try to change the subject fast. Do they like playing outside? Oh, of course, Paula says. We have a sandbox in the back, and a fleet of toy-push lawnmowers, and bubbles and chalk in the garage, and whatever else you can find in there. They know they're supposed to stay in the yard, but they haven't exactly mastered the stop-at-the-curb rule yet. And they're fast, so you have to watch them. My mom nudges me again. See? She whispers. But I roll my eyes because there's a difference between a 4-ounce hamster and a couple of 2-year-old human kids. So, Paula says, what do you say? Do you think you could start right now? Right now? Oliver, my mom, and I all say. I'd love to get a workout in since you're here. We agreed on $16 an hour. Is that right? I nod. She looks at the clock. It's 3:30 now. Do you have a couple hours? Oliver says, yeah, right away. I look at my mom because I don't actually know how to change diapers, and what if... But she just looks back at me like I shouldn't have lied, and I'd better hope they don't have to poop. I'll pick you up at 5:30, Mom says. Then she leaves. I look into the playroom, and Knox and Kobe are playing with blocks on the floor. I'm thinking, this won't be so hard. We can stack blocks. Okay, Paula says. I'll be in the basement if you need anything. Then she pops in some earbuds, opens the basement door, and hustles down the stairs. This house is huge, Oliver whispers. They have so many extra rooms they have to block them off. He points through the kitchen. Have you ever heard of a sunroom before? I mean, what do you even do in there? Sit on that fancy padded bench and talk about the sun? Then he walks over and peeks through the double doors to their office. Think she'd notice if I just take this room? I laugh, imagining Oliver walking down the street with their office on his back. I'd find a little piece of land in the woods and make it our own little house, he says. I think it's big enough to fit my mom, my sisters, and me. I'm about to say, that room is not as big as your house. But I can't even answer him, because as soon as the sound of a treadmill starts downstairs, one of the twins picks up a block and tosses it at the other one. It hits him lightly in the arm, and the kid screams, "Ow!" Oliver sits next to the kid who got hit, and I go to the hitter and uncurl his left finger. No freckle. Knox, I say. No throwing toys. Oliver says, Are you okay, Kobe? And I swear Kobe was okay until Oliver asked. But then his lip starts to quiver, and now he's crying. Then Knox starts crying too, like the tears are contagious. And pretty soon, they both have thick snot mustaches. I get some tissues from the bathroom and try to wipe their noses, but they push my hand away like they prefer the snot mustaches to be there, growing and dripping down their lips. I'm really hoping Paula can't hear them crying 40 seconds into our new job. And I'm thanking my lucky stars for those earbuds, and hoping she's listening to the loudest metal music at the highest volume. But they're still crying, and I would do anything to get them to stop. I tried that bunny ear trick, but it doesn't work. Do you want to go outside? I ask. Crying. Read a book? I pull the very hungry caterpillar off the shelf, still crying. Then one of the kids sucks up his snot mustache. I can't tell which he is anymore because they moved when I was getting the tissues, but he cries, "Yayy Pop!" What? I ask. "Yayy Pop!" he cries again. "I want a Yayy Pop!" Then he gets up and walks into the kitchen and starts pulling open a drawer near the oven. I look inside and see a bunch of pot holders and oven mitts and dish towels, but he keeps pointing. "In there! Yayy Pop!" Then his lip starts quivering again, so I dig through the towels and find, way in the back, a bag of vitamin C lollipops. "Oh, lollipops," I say. "Are you allowed to have lollipops?" They're both there now, peeking in the drawer and nodding their heads. "Yayy Pop in there! Peas!" Both kids have same Y-sounding L's, and both their hands are stretched out. So I check a left pointer finger. Freckle, Kobe. They're not crying, but it's also before dinner, and Paula didn't say we could give them any food. Knox stamps his foot. But she didn't say we couldn't either. So I unwrap 2 lollipops. They pop them in their mouths, and it's immediately quiet. I stuff the wrappers in my pocket. Okay, now let's read a book. I go sit on the rug in the playroom, and Oliver does too. The twins walk over and sit between us, and I turn to the first page of The Very Hungry Caterpillar and point to the little egg on the leaf. Then I'm thinking, okay, this I can do. I can read for the next hour and 52 minutes. But when we get to the part in the book where it's Saturday and the caterpillar is munching everything, one of the things it eats is a lollipop. "Yayy Pop!" Knox says. Then he pulls the stick from his mouth and he's bitten the whole thing off. "I'm done." He does a little gesture with his hands. "Another Yayy Pop, please." "Me too," says Kobe. "Oh, no more lollipops today," I say. "But let's see what happens on the next page of the book." Oliver takes the soggy sticks from Knox and searches the kitchen for the garbage. He finds the right cabinet, but as soon as he drops the stick in, Knox chases him around the corner and screams, "No! That's my Yayy Pop! I want it back!" "It was the stick. You were done. It's just garbage now. Yucky," Oliver tells him. But it's too late. Knox is crying again. And then Kobe starts because he finished his lollipop too, and the tears are definitely contagious. I try to pull them back into the book, but they aren't listening, and before I can think of another thing to do, they start running. That's when I realize that the part of the first floor of their house that isn't blocked off is a big circle, because they fly past the mudroom, through the kitchen, past the sunroom table, through the living room, bouncing along the L-shaped couch as they go, and back into the playroom. Then, through the kitchen again. One is chasing the other until he changes directions, and the chase starts all over again the opposite way. Ah! I'm standing in front of the dining room door, making sure they don't burst through to the cabinets full of glass. And Oliver is standing in front of the office door, protecting the computer equipment. He looks at me like, what do we do? But I'm looking at him like that too, so the next time they whip through the kitchen and past the office, Oliver puts his arms out and scoops one of them up in the air. The twin giggles and giggles, and the other one stops in front of me and wants a turn. I look at his finger. "Kobe," I say, "you can have a turn, but then we're going to read another book. Deal?" "Okay," he says. I put my hands beneath his arms and lift him as high as I can. It feels weird lifting a kid like this. He's heavier than I expected, and my arms start to shake after a few seconds of him pretending to be an airplane. Then he points to Oliver and says, "I want to turn with Oliver." "Smart kid," Oliver says. I give longer turns. I roll my eyes, and Kobe runs to Oliver, so Knox runs to me for a turn. I lift him as high as I can, which is already not as high as I lifted his brother the second before. Then the boys switch, and I have Kobe again. They switch and squeal with delight until my arms can't lift anymore. I look at my watch, thinking we probably have about an hour left. But it's only 3:43. Mom left 13 minutes ago. We have an hour and 47 minutes left. And I really don't think I can do it. But then I watch Oliver lift Kobe for one last airplane, and I'm thinking, we're game of her. We can at least get through the next 1 hour and 47 minutes, and then never come back again if we don't want to. I look around for Knox. He's quietly touching the spines of the pictures books and making funny little grunting sounds. And I'm thinking, finally, we can just sit down and read some books. But then Kobe looks over at Knox and says, "Knox, go poopy." I rush to him fast, because I'm thinking maybe if I get to him in time, I can hold him over the potty or something, and then we won't have a dirty diaper to change, and maybe Paula would give us a raise on the first day for potty training her kid. But I know I'm too late when I get to him because I can smell it. Oliver and I look at each other and say, "Not it." Then Knox grunts one last time and starts running the circle of their house again, past the mudroom, through the kitchen, by the table, through the living room where he bounces across the L-shaped couch. "No, don't land on your—" But it's too late. He landed on his butt. "I am so not changing that diaper," I say. Then he runs back through the playroom, and Oliver catches him on the next loop. "Should we just ask his mom?" Oliver says. "We can't," I say. "I told her I knew how to do this." I ask Knox to lie down on the floor, and he says, "Lollipop." No more lollipops," I tell him, and he sits up fast and takes off for another loop around the circle. Oliver gets a diaper and the package of wet wipes from the kitchen drawer and catches Knox again on his next loop through the playroom. Kobe is following him now and squealing, "Poopy! Poopy!" "You have to get a clean diaper," Oliver says. "Come on, Knox." "Yayy-pop!" We're game of her, I tell myself. So I try the bunny again. "Do you want to whisper a secret to Bunny?" I ask. He reaches out his arms and takes his bunny and starts whispering in his ear. "I have lots of secrets," he whispers. "Good," I say. Kobe settles down next to me, and I wiggle Bunny and Knox's face a little while Oliver is wiping and wiping. He's using like 1,000 wipes. "I don't want to get it on my hands," he says. Then Knox whispers into the bunny's ear, "I want a Yayy-pop!" "Me too!" yells Kobe, and he runs to the lollipop drawer in the kitchen and opens it and closes it and opens it and closes it again. Oliver puts a hand on Knox's chest so he doesn't try to run his naked, poopy butt around the circle. "Just give him one," Oliver calls. So I unwrap 2 lollipops from the drawer and stick them in their mouths, and just like that, it's quiet again. "Find a bag or something," Oliver says. I open a few more drawers and find a bag of chips that's almost empty. So I pour the crumbs in my mouth and pass the bag to Oliver. He puts the dirty diaper in it and hands it back to me. I tie it up with a tight knot, and fast, because it stinks. Then I toss it outside on the step of their garage. It takes us the entire lollipop to figure out that there are little built-in pieces of tape stuck to the diaper that fasten to the sides, and I think we might have put it on backward. But his butt is clean and covered, and his pants are back up. "Shoot," Oliver says. "We didn't put these in the bag." There's a mountain of wipes on the floor, and they smell, too. "I think we can flush those," I say. "They're like toilet paper, right?" So we try. But instead of the water in the bowl swirling down, 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 it's now rising up, up, up. Oliver acts fast and grabs the plunger next to the toilet and gives 3 big thrusts until the water swirls all those wipes down and out of the bowl. But I'm pretty sure we clogged up their whole system. Neither one of us is brave enough to try flushing it again. After 1,000 more circle runs around the house, we take them outside and chase them from the sandbox to the curb in the front yard, where they think it's a funny game to pretend they're going to run right out toward the street. Each time we catch them, they giggle and run again and again. Chase me! I'm sweating, and my arms are aching, and I'm certain that I'm not cut out to be a mother's helper. I'm ready to tell Paula that we gave it a try, but 2-year-old twins are harder than we thought, and she's going to have to find someone else. At 5:25, we bring the twins back inside, and Paula's in the kitchen chopping vegetables. I think it still kind of smells like poop in here, and I'm wondering if she has some sort of mom's sixth sense that Knox's diaper might be on backward, and that we might have ruined her plumbing. How'd it go? She asks. I heard lots of laughter. That's a good sign. Oliver and I look at each other, and I'm wondering who's going to be the one who breaks it to her that we're not coming back. No way. But then, she hands us 2 crisp $20 bills, and Oliver's eyes get as wide as basketballs. I don't have change, I tell her. Maybe my mom... Consider it a tip, she says. You gave me some much-needed hours on short notice. I look at Oliver again, and we each take a 20 from her hands. And Oliver says, Thanks, and that we'll see her on Tuesday. I look at him like, Are you kidding? But he is not kidding. And if you lined up 1,000 kids, you couldn't pay me to babysit again with 999 of them. But Oliver is number 1,000. Wonderful, Paula says, and bends down to kiss the tops of Knox's and Kobe's heads. And there's a dirty diaper tied in a chip bag on the garage step, Oliver says. Even more reason for a tip. Paula gives us a thumbs up and says, Thank you again. And we head out the door. Mom is parked in the driveway when we get outside, and I limp toward her car like we just got beat up in a 2-hour boxing match. When we get far enough from the front door, Oliver whispers, Of course we got stuck with guano. Our giggle attack rises back up, and I can feel my sore stomach muscles. Mom rolls down the window. Get in, Oliver. We'll give you a ride home. Oh, no, that's okay, he says. I need to stretch my legs anyway. I'll walk. I look at him funny, because his house is all the way at the edge of town, and we've been doing nothing but running around and stretching our legs and arms and brains and everything all the way down to our pinky toes for the past 2 hours, and I don't think I've ever been so tired. But he says, See you, and takes off down the street anyway, and I'm thinking that's about the sportiest kid who ever existed. Before we pull out of the driveway, their front door opens, and Knox and Kobe run out on the porch and lean over the railing to wave goodbye. Paula stands behind them with a spatula in her hand. Bye, Gabe, they holler. We yike you! We yike Oliver! And they're so cute with their wild hair and chubby cheeks that I almost forget about the crying and the running circles and the diaper fiasco. Almost. And as they go back inside, I catch something moving in the upstairs window above the front door. It's a face. A person. And I know that face. I know that person. It's Reuben. The whole time Mom is cooking dinner, she's asking me 100 questions about how it went with the twins. But all I can think about is Reuben in the upstairs window. I'm wondering if I should send Oliver a message to see if he saw what I think I saw. But I know he was already halfway down the street when I looked up to that window. It can wait until Monday. Did they behave okay? Mom asks. What did you do? Did you read them any books? Can you tell them apart now, or do you still need to look for the freckle? She's chopping garlic fast and asking me questions faster. Did they beg for TV? But I have my own questions running through my head. What was Reuben doing there? Did he see me? Is he Knox and Kobe's brother? And if he is, why isn't he his own mother's helper? And why can't he change his own brother's stinky diaper? Gabe, Mom says and snaps her fingers. Was it fun? Yeah, I say. I mean, no. They threw stuff and cried and ran around in circles, and one of them pooped. I can't even remember which one now. Mom laughs and slides the garlic off the cutting board into the saucepan. Sounds about right, she says. You think you'll stick with it? I nod and show her my $20 bill. Oliver really wants to save up for some backpacking trip stuff, I tell her. And I'm not going to quit on him. Mom smiles and puts her arm around me. What a responsible thing to say. Then she opens a drawer, pulls out a black Sharpie marker, writes Gabever's Backpacking Collection across the empty ziti box on the counter, and hands it over. I smile and drop the money in. Good start, she says. That ought to get you at least one pair of fancy hiking socks. Before I go to bed that night, I empty 4 crinkled lollipop wrappers from my pocket into the trash. Then I wonder again about Reuben, and if that was really him in the upstairs window, or if my mind was just playing tricks on me. Because what would Reuben be doing up there? The next day, Dad has off, and when those days fall on a weekend, we both sleep in, and instead of corn pops, it's pancakes. I come downstairs when he's whisking batter, and see Baby lying on my placemat. Baby is a ragged doll with a plastic face and eyes that flutter closed when you lay her down. I haven't seen Baby since our trip to Scotland to visit Nana when I was 6. On our flight home, we sat next to a pilot who was traveling to the United States for his next flight, and I had Baby tucked beneath my arm. The pilot explained what a cockpit looks like, and I imagined how it would feel to fly over clouds and clouds and sky and ocean that spread as far as you could see. It made my stomach twist. He handed me a sticker of airplane wings and said, "Now you can be a pilot too." And when I was about to thank him, the pilot tugged on Baby's foot. "But you'll have to get rid of her first. Big boys don't carry around dolls, especially when they're flying 200,000 pounds of titanium, steel, and fuel across the Atlantic Ocean." Then he smiled up at my dad like he was doing him a favor. I leaned over to stuff Baby in my carry-on bag, but Dad caught my arm and said, "Big boys don't tell others what they should and shouldn't do." So I held on to Baby, but near the armrest between Dad and me, and as far from that pilot as I could. I was sleeping when we got home from that trip, and Dad carried Baby and me up to my bed from the car. When I woke up the next morning, I wrapped Baby in her pink blanket, brought her down to the basement, and laid her on the storage boxes. I told my dad I didn't want to play with her anymore. He wrinkled up his forehead and frowned and said, "We'll keep her in the basement in case you need her again." I haven't seen her since. Now Dad is standing in the kitchen with his apron on, whisking batter to the beat of his Sunday morning playlist coming through the speaker. "Remember her?" he asks, nodding toward Baby. "Yeah," I say, and I can immediately see that pilot's face in my mind. "But why?" "I heard you might have told some woman that you knew how to change diapers because you practiced on dolls." A big smile spreads across his face. "So, get practicing." While the pancakes cook on the griddle, Dad helps me fold dish towels around Baby's butt and fasten tape around her hips until I get it. "It's a little harder when they're running around in circles," I say. "Baby doesn't do that." Dad laughs and nods. "That's definitely true." Mom joins us and inspects Baby's homemade diaper and gives me a high five. Then we eat pancakes and talk about Knox and Kobe and how hard it is to take care of little kids, even for just 2 hours. "That's why mothers need helpers," Mom says. For some reason, that gets us all laughing. And I'm so close to telling them about how I think I might have seen Reuben in the window upstairs. But I'm pretty sure that it couldn't have been him anyway. Plus, I haven't even told Mom and Dad about Reuben joining our class, and I don't know why, except that I think they'd ask me if I want to have him over, or if I've been kind and welcomed him. And I don't have good answers for any of those questions yet.